I actually wrote, when I was in graduate school, I wrote a play with 5 female characters, and these were 2 of the characters in that play. And I think I'd gotten the idea because I had found out that Marie Irene Fornes had Alzheimer's. And I really started thinking about what if a writer who's always communicated through writing, you know, how does that in particular, how does it impact you, lose words or lose the ability to tell those stories, and what does that mean for, you know, your very identity. So that's what got me started on. And then I had a friend who was she was very similar to Beth. She was always just like looking for love. And they just felt like very temperatured characters. And so they were in this other play, and that was a cool play, but there was something about these 2 that called to me, so I lifted them out of that play and kind of created this whole piece for them. I did a lot of research, and I had friends who had family members who were, I had one friend in particular whose grandmother was living at home with them, and she had lots of stories to tell. So, yes, I've actually never gone through this with a family member myself. I hope not to. I really can't imagine what it would be like to watch your own family member just kind of personality-wise disappear in front of you.
One of our members here, Group Rep, Gina Yates, brought this piece to us, and Larry and I started working on it together with her, and then she had to drop out, and so we created a project with Lisa, who was my first choice, and we put it up one night. It's a Monday night. This is what our theater does. And the artistic director said, how would you like to do this upstairs? And we said wholeheartedly, very much so, because the more we delved into the material, the more we enjoyed it. There's just so many layers that kind of keep blowing together and conflating as these 2 or maybe 4 stories are told and kind of interweave and connect at different points. So we just fell in love with it and had to do it. And we thought one of the skillful things that had occurred in this play was that you, at the beginning, you're seeing this through Alita's eyes, and whatever damage that's happening to her is part of that perspective. So for example, in the diagnostic scene, when she says, I'm going to tell you 10 words, and here they are, squirrel, squirrel. Now, if she was sure, if Alita was sure, oh, you know, you just said the same word 10 times, just squirrel. But that's through her eyes. You know, are you saying the same word? Because you can't possibly be doing that. And so the suspicion is it part of the condition, or is it this young lady doing that? And then we have to live with that doubt with Alita as she goes through that. And it's interesting because after a while, through Alita's perspective is so strong, then later we're watching through Beth's perspective about what's happening to somebody, and then the truth is just eventually revealed. You know, it becomes a little more clear. But you're living with that ambiguity, and man, we worked on that. Because there were times like, is she just pathological? Is she just lying?
We tried to make it different.
We decided we had to go on the evidence of the text and say, you know, I don't really think so. And so, because as actors, they have to commit to one thing, one choice or the other, and that's the way we played it. So.
My feeling for that is that as the test is that the audience is actually even in a kind of a different state than the characters, because Beth is probably reading 10 different words, and in that moment Alita is probably hearing the different words, but then when we go back to it and we have to answer the questions, then we suddenly snap into Alita's point of view of, wait, there was just that one word. So it's just kind of, you know, messing with you from the very beginning. What's actually, like, what's real, what's actually happening, and who do you trust? Whose point of view are you taking, and who do you trust?
And that's what I meant to say.
I had written 8 drafts of the play, and it was, I took it off in some crazy directions too at one point. There was a third character who was on stage all the time, and was the witch, and so there were all these experiments. But I was still trying to, it was kind of like the flashbacks had worked because they're very narrative and you follow the story of the mother and the daughter. But the Alita Beth scenes, I feel like can get repetitive, and at least in these earlier drafts, they were just like was like, what are they really arguing about? I just wasn't sure. The arguments felt like they kept spinning out to nowhere, and I was just trying to, you know, create conflict. And I was like, I'm going to rewrite this play one more time. That's all I have in me.
Wow.
And if it doesn't work, I'm just going to put it down. But what I realized, and this was the simplest thing, I suddenly realized that the characters were both, they were actually both very lonely and trying to avoid that loneliness in different ways. Beth was throwing herself at people, and Alita was keeping herself isolated. And they both wanted companionship and intimacy, and they were both going about it in two separate ways. So if you do go back over the text, you'll find that almost every argument, you know, she's like, you need people to see each other. And she's like, no, you don't. You can be completely contained.
Yeah.
And it really is the same argument over and over again in different ways. And if that one illumination about the characters kind of made all of those scenes gel.